Japan but now is residing in Seoul, Korea, I believe, is YUKIKA, who dropped an album last year which I thought was pretty good. I mean, it definitely had the standard K-pop tropes you'd expect, but also just had a really nice, sweet, blissful feel to it that was just really easygoing and just made for a lovely listen from start to finish. Not really much else to add really than that. Since hearing that though, obviously I wanted to follow YUKIKA and see where she goes from there, because it was a solid debut album, and now we have, not that long after the debut album, an EP. And to be honest, that potential that I saw in the debut album is pretty much coming to life here, because I think this EP is just heightening what we saw on that album in a way that's just making me so excited to see where YUKIKA goes from here. I've definitely warmed up to this genre way more over the years, you know, recent years particularly. So of course, hearing this EP and enjoying it probably isn't that surprising to the people that watch these kinds of reviews on my channel. I don't do them that often, to be honest, but when I do, I tend to do it for artists that I think are really quite good. And YUKIKA is growing into a really sophisticated, elegant artist that I think has such a wide appeal that would just be a huge shame to see her go underrated or even overlooked. The opening track is very cinematic. I mean, this is just an introduction, but that cinematic extravagance really comes through across this EP. Every track just has like a bombasticness to it that just makes it feel very chic and over the top and theatrical. What the intro does remind me of actually is games like Buzz or games like Trivial Pursuit that you find on like games consoles, which are pretty fun to play in like group settings, by the way, if you've never done it. But they always have these really like over the top introduction like instrumentals that are just ready to amp you up and get ready to answer questions about geography and history and sport. I don't know why it reminds me of that, but it really gets me in the goddamn mood to answer a quick fire round of general knowledge. Why, I don't know, but I'm glad it does. From there on, we start getting this city pop influence coming through actually on tracks like Insomnia and Lovemonth, which are two of the best tracks here, I think. But for some reason, they do contain that city pop feel. I'm wondering if her Japanese roots are taking over a little bit and perhaps just having a bit of a shine in this K-pop world, just kind of blending two worlds together in a really interesting way and creating some really lovely melodies while she's at it too. Again, Insomnia has this kind of like really whimsical feel to it. Definitely has this elevated elegance. It just does feel very like high fashion chicness. I can't really describe because you don't usually find that in music generally, but it does have that feel to it. Feels like everything's very golden, very rich, just has it, you know, it just has that richness that you could only dream of having. Then Lovemonth has a vibe to it that could only be described as like 80s Maria Takayuki, you know, the artist. Plastic Love, you've heard the song, you've seen it on your YouTube recommended list, and you've seen it uploaded 100 times because YouTube keeps deciding that it's not allowed on their website and they have to keep removing it. Totally reminds me of that era in city pop, and honestly city pop has a lot to offer, so if you've never gone back and listened to any of that from the 80s particularly, then please do it, because if you're a big fan of this new wave of K-pop and even J-pop obviously, that's, you know, dominating a lot of internet music circles and becoming the next big thing, or already is the next big thing really, with massive artists like Luna and BTS, etc., then yeah, please go back and see the roots of where this style of music came from, because trust me when I say it didn't just influence, you know, the Asian countries of the world. It really was a worldwide influence, which you might not necessarily know because it's not something that really gets brought up in music discussion, but I'm here to say that you can see its influence. Time Travel might just be the biggest pop jam. As soon as that chorus hits, it's really sugary and has a nice sensation feel to it, which doesn't go too far off the deep end. If you remember, in one of my recent reviews of that Brockhampton album, I was saying that there's too much sugar on some of those tracks, too much sweetness just pounding your ears. But sometimes artists manage to just kind of get the balance right, and I feel like a lot of K-pop artists can do that quite well actually, and YUKIKA is definitely up there with the best at doing that. Secret, one of the biggest moments for this as well, just such a bubblegum pop feel to it. Again, if you're even like in that kind of fandom of hyperpop and bubblegum bass and bubblegum pop, I think again you'd like this track quite a bit. I do think the final track could probably end the EP with a bigger bang or a bigger splash than it does, but it's still okay. I do think it just slightly knocks my overall feeling of it though, because I think I'm just happy with the dabbling in and out of these like huge pop genres, these huge city pop inspirations and K-pop feel, and the contemporary dance pop moments too. Like, I think I'm all for that than I am the final closing track, but it's still pretty solid for what it is. And I think the EP is really good overall. I wouldn't have reviewed it if I didn't think so. So yeah, I think YUKIKA's onto something here. I think this tops her debut album, and I'm pretty much looking forward to seeing where she takes us next. Definitely a fun little listen. I think you'd enjoy it if you're a fan of this genre, or even just generally, you know, a fan of pop music anyway. You'd probably like this. So definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would love to see what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Do have a good day. As always, I don't give EPs a score, but it gets my approval. That's all you need to know. So thank you for watching. Do have a good day. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell too. My analytics seem to say that people who are subscribed barely watch my videos, which is depressing as fuck. So try and change that, please, guys. Hit the bell. Don't miss any videos. Have a good day, and goodbye.